One of the things I have really been sitting with the past probably 36 hours um, is actually sharing with people all of the contexts that make up this weirdness that is my world. One of the things that is missed when I live a compartmentalized life is that no one really knows my life. At least those in body. There are ancestors with me who do. Which is interesting, but not super useful in the practical world. And one of the reasons why I've really been sitting with this is because of what is now for me the ick factor of social media. This incessant bombardment, barrage of not even news, but of attention, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, buy from me, buy from me. Oh, you clicked on this, so now you need 1,200 other ads about some app that's going to essentially misuse natural resources in the name of expediency and cute Instagram photos or reels that no one is going to look at. Things that I try to figure out how to use and measure that on, yes, expediency, but also this internal moral compass with full awareness of my interrelatedness with all things. I also weigh, okay, so is this all about just me having attention? Because I would really like some attention. In the good way. I've got plenty of the not so good, which is one of the contexts within which I experience the world. The thing that is, or one of the things that is bringing these conflicting feelings and mental gymnastics is around is two things. One, I am actively fundraising to get to Massachusetts to work with a Becoming the Medicine student, and also actively fundraising to get to the Navajo Nation, which, although only 2 hours down the road, is impossible for me to get to because I don't have a vehicle and I don't have the means with which to rent a vehicle or fuel a vehicle. The other is the state of geopolitics. I will not get into details now because I have a very, very limited perspective on why I receive the information I receive and when I do. I will share that beginning in the late summer of 2022, I began receiving information in the same way I receive all of this other information. I can assure some folks who are walking here, you don't have a breathing human being who's on the phone with me. Like, that's just, no. I began receiving information related to a transnational, near simultaneous attack that was or is Al-Qaeda coordinated and Russian and Saudi funded. In September of 2022, I was given a date, and that was a date that I shared with the national police and intelligence services of 7 countries, 6 of whom I know received the information because of information that I received back in a multitude of ways. And one that an African country that, as far as I know, did not receive the information that I was trying to get to them. I had contact with Australians, Turkish, Israeli, British, Canadian, US, and Turkish folks, because the information that I was given is that the targets were all petrochemical related and timed very specifically for reasons that I won't get into because I'm not an expert on this. I receive information and I begin asking questions, but my questions are only limited by my perspective. And one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, yeah, it is. There's 2 reasons why this is coming to the fore again. Because at last week, that target list expanded in a United States Navy facility here in the US was added to the target list. And in addition to that, so now I've got I have added NCIS to an organization that I just share information with. I don't know, because there is no official reciprocal communication, and there has not been related to either this that is called to me as Ring of Fire, or related to all things fuckery and Sinaloans. There's not reciprocal communication. I'm left to follow threads and feel through things that pop up like whack-a-moles. So adding NCIS, adding a United States naval target here on this continent, as that is one of the reasons. And another is that there is a podcast that I have started listening to, and I have not been a fan of podcasts, but this one that I'm not going to name right now is filled with guests who have one-on-one conversations about things like Al-Qaeda, terror, terrorists, sleeper cells, and those sorts of things here in the US. And a couple of these conversations align with what I have been shown in ways that are striking. But again, I come back to this. Okay. Am I serving anybody other than my need for attention, my desire to be seen? Am I aiding in people's sense of safety or fear, rather, if I share these things publicly? If I share them publicly, because there is no official reciprocal communication, does doing so interfere with enforcement and intelligence operations around the globe? And if it does it really fucking matter? Does this one white chick in Telluride, Colorado, does it really matter? I lean towards it does matter, because I have been receiving this information, and I receive this information from people that from ancestors that will really piss people off. That tends to be the response. Like, if I say to people, I'll get ready to say it right now, some of the information that I receive comes from, I'm just going to name names. They don't care. A guy named Ahmad Mabrouk, who was Al-Qaeda when he was in body, and he was assassinated in 2016. In addition, I receive information from Sheikh Nazim and Sheikh Hisham, who are Sufi leaders still outside their physical body. And I rely on these things, these nuggets of information, because there is no reason for them to lie. They have identified how they see me. I can't explain that to anybody else who doesn't understand that. So I have Muslim and Al-Qaeda leadership essentially in my ear. Now, do they give me all of the information? No. I do happen to have, I've got weird curiosities. And so I ask questions, and I look and I dig and I pay attention, and I wonder, well, what the fuck? So my questions around this are, okay, so do I go public light? Do I reach out to this podcast and say, hey, you have got these guests that have on the ground experience, intellectual depth, and a combination of those things, and community that does this work. Here is what I've got. Would you please confirm for me and give me some sort of validation to feed my ego that is like a little needy these days? Do I just keep my mouth shut, or do I publicly come forward and say, hey, here's another element. Here's an element that we need to consider, and enter into a discussion with that outside of fear. Enter into a discussion around that, around faith. What fuels faith? What fuels our faiths, plural on purpose, to violence? And so this is one of the spinning plates. So essentially, my body, my head, my brain, no matter how anybody wants to define it, this is where all of the spinning plates meet. They zippity-doo-dah through here, and this is the center of the Venn diagram, right here, between here and my heart. That's it. And curiously, although the main driver of everything I am steeped in is how the Sinaloa cartel intersects with Indian gaming, this intersection seems removed for most people from anything related to Al-Qaeda, because terror is somewhere else, right? The bombs are dropping somewhere else. It doesn't matter that they're getting ready to come here, right? Well, not, I mean, they're here. Let's be real. The intersection of this is where the money that is laundered through Indian gaming from the Sinaloan illicit games, as it is dispersed as, in quotes, part of the laundry process, it makes its way to Al-Qaeda. So not only is this a venture, now long-term adventure that might be truncated by current geopolitics, thanks to our loosely called president. Not only is this venture funded by Russians and Saudis, for whom I have names. It's also funded by the Sinaloans, not intentionally. It's an unintentional outcome about how criminal networks and criminal monies move through symbiotic networks. And I'm remembering in the moment that I've just passed the anniversary, or we've just passed the anniversary, 5-year anniversary of when I was swatted by leadership on the Gila River Res, because I went, not exactly publicly, but I sent letters to over 400 elected officials across Indian country on the continent, and their response was me being swatted after the leadership of 2 nations had a chat, and they decided that it would be a good idea to try to scare me off. They also, after that swatting incident, called, and somebody said on the other end of the phone, there's this youngish male voice, and I've got a machine gun. And it was all I could do while I was sitting in the Office Depot parking lot. It was all I could do to say, don't blow your dick off with that. I didn't, because why add fuel to a fire that was very hot in the moment? And I'm like, okay, so do I share all of this, or do I not? And how do I navigate all of these things? In part because there is this repeated need to be supported, or the desire to be supported, and B, like, how much of this is ego driven, and how much of this is perhaps education or partnership driven, and does it really matter? For me, it does, because there is because the foundational bit of all of this, for me, requires not so much treading carefully, but requires really clear-hearted understanding about why I make choices, and then act on those in a public sphere. I rambled because I didn't want to, creating a script, y'all, that takes a lot of energy. I don't have energy. So I may look at this and think, okay, this is 18 minutes, going on 19, that nobody's going to get their life back and they're not going to give 2 shits. So I may start this again, or I may just like put it up as it is, because also editing is a pain and I don't have any energy for it. And I want someone out there to be part of my mental gymnastics through these things. That's not something I have in my life. Anyhow, at the moment, I'm going to leave it at this. I might come back and revisit it. I might just go ahead and put it out there and not give 2 shits. Okay, bye.